We double bag our groceries for convenience, but those plastic sheets can take up to 500 years to decompose and become part of the earth. When that plastic enters a drainage system, it can paralyze a city's infrastructure for months. This results in standing water and urban flooding on residential streets after a heavy rain. In 1965, a newly independent Singapore faced this exact waste problem with a unique geographical disadvantage. The nation was impoverished and physically restricted. With a population packed onto swampy land, there was simply no room to dig traditional landfills. When a nation is physically out of room but continues to grow, it faces a fundamental question. Where do you put the daily garbage? For Singapore, waste management became an existential puzzle. The only viable solution was to eliminate the need for traditional landfills entirely. The country's waste pipeline relies on absolute social compliance. The physical machinery only functions if the citizens feed it correctly. This discipline is maintained through severe legal consequences. One resident was fined $15,000 for dropping a cigarette butt from a balcony, a penalty they were required to pay in just 4 days. These laws are strictly enforced, establishing a national culture where littering anywhere other than a designated bin is a massive financial risk. This civic order allows for a highly synchronized collection system. Every day, trucks gather waste from residential and industrial sectors with mechanical precision. Advanced technology requires a reliable input. In Singapore, these strict social laws ensure the waste pipeline remains efficient and unclogged. The collected municipal waste is brought to specialized incineration plants designed for maximum volume reduction. Inside, furnaces burn 24 hours a day at 1,000 degrees Celsius to break down the trash. This heat vaporizes 90% of the waste's volume in just hours. This chart illustrates the result. Only 10% of the original garbage remains. The system captures thermal energy from these fires to spin turbines, generating electricity for thousands of Singaporean homes. Before the exhaust gases reach the sky, they pass through a rigorous filtration process that scrubs out pollutants to keep the air fresh. This incineration process acts as a high-volume processor, converting bulk municipal waste into usable electrical power. This leaves one final mechanical question. What happens to the concentrated ash sitting at the bottom of the furnace? Singapore ships this remaining ash away from the mainland and deposits it into a walled-off containment zone in the middle of the sea. These engineered walls isolate the ash entirely, preventing toxic runoff from entering the ocean and creating the foundation for an artificial island. The surrounding marine life thrives undisturbed by the waste mountain on the other side of the barrier. The island's purity is demonstrated by the plantation experiment, where trees and crops are currently growing directly on top of the processed ash. Since its difficult start in 1965, Singapore has transitioned from a resource-poor swamp to the world's 4th richest nation by average income. Singapore proves that with uncompromising civic discipline and efficient industrial design, a country can use its own waste to build the